Let's take a look at some information and charts on Dogecoin for BraveNewCoin. Doge is a proof of work coin that is merge mined with LTC. Had that initiative not been put forth by Charlie Lee many years ago, Dogecoin probably would not exist in its current form. Dogecoin was also created as sort of a meme joke sandbox coin. There's history of this. You don't need to take my word for it. Between Jackson Palmer and Billy Marcus, they created Dogecoin in a few hours. And until really the beginning of 2021, it existed. It didn't thrive price-wise, but it existed. Then the meme stonkery took over. Crazy speculation took over and got us to where we are today on the price side of things. But on the fundamental side of things, the proof of work block time is around a minute, the targeted block time, slightly above a minute. Hash rate has ranged pretty significantly, but is in the middle of that range currently. Price affects this. The China upheaval affects this. LTC's halvening affects this because of the script ASICs. Dogecoin price affects the hash rate. If anything, Doge is now keeping LTC afloat because the Doge miner's reward is much larger than the LTC miner's reward. Funny twist of fate that has become. As far as script ASICs are concerned, we have a couple coming over the next month, and all of them are in profit at 4 cents per kilowatt hour, which is what most industrial miners get or better. Some miners get paid to take electricity off the grid, which is just a massive win-win. That's probably a minority more than a majority, certainly, but I have heard stories firsthand of that happening in Texas. So if you're a miner getting paid to use electricity and you're making a profit, this is probably just LTC or Doge. It's probably not both here in this calculation, I'd imagine. So you're sitting pretty as a miner of script coins. And the revenue between LTC and Doge is currently a total of 4 million per day, with Doge taking the lion's share at 70%. But that's a significant increase for Doge compared to where it's ever been. It's never been this high. And it will likely be hard to sustain that. If I was a miner mining this, I'd be selling as much as I could every day. Because why not? You're in such crazy profits. But that's me looking at fundamentals and technicals, not necessarily mining ROI. If we look at all the proof of work coins that matter anyway and look at the inflation rates, the issuance rates, Doge sitting down here at 3.75, even below ETH, not accounting for EIP 1559. But the inflation rate isn't terrible for something that's kind of taken off. BTC down there at 1.76, Monero barely clocking in at 1.2%. So for being a meme joke, it's well positioned. And on the inflation side of things, even though notionally that's still a massive amount of inflow every day. Every day there's $3 million worth of Doge. If that's sold and not bought, price goes down. That's just that simple, supply and demand. And I assume miners are selling. If we look at transaction counts, they are at multi-year lows, so it's hard to be bullish on that. However, transaction counts are slowly starting to increase. So if you're bullish Doge, you want to see transaction counts continue to increase. Part of that is Robinhood effect and people just sort of moving on to other things. But the more services like Robinhood that go full crypto and offer wallets, the more impact that's going to have on the on-chain metrics, obviously. Transaction values, the highest they've ever been, basically at all-time highs for Doge, no surprise there, and still effectively multi-year highs. So there are still a ton of large transfers happening on-chain. NVT, a measure of market cap versus economic utility, has sort of been all over the place, but it is near the middle of the range since 2015 and rising. So more bearish than bullish. And active addresses are starting to pick up again, still at the bottom of multi-year levels. So it's hard to get bullish on fundamental on-chain stuff until this stuff starts to pick up a little bit. And then MVRV versus price is another measure of market cap versus on-chain activity. And for most coins, a 2x multiple is usually close to the top or the top. For Doge, it's really been a 3x multiple every time since 2017. It's had 4 3x multiples, marking all-time highs each time. So currently it's at 1.5-ish. If we get anywhere near 3 or above 3 on MVRV, you have to think that's going to be another all-time high level and probably pit stop or multi-year high. You got to assume MVRV is going to be right until it's wrong. So I definitely watch that 3 level if you're trading or holding Dogecoin. And on Google Trends, it's kind of flat, just down. All the activity, all the hype earlier in the year, the Elon stuff, all that stuff sort of quieted down on Google Trends anyway. You can still see micro bursts of bullishness whenever Elon talks about Doge, but that's largely gone at this point in time. I think all the bots trading that have moved on to bigger and better things, and certainly all the people trading that seem to have moved on to bigger and better things. Moving on to technicals, we have the 5200 EMA, monthly pivots, VPVR, volume, RSI. This is on Binance. Volume's down significantly from where they were earlier in the year. RSI flat. Price kind of in the middle of the volume range here, between a quarter and 33 cents. I think 33 is a good level to watch if you're bullish, because that's where the head and shoulders breakdown happened previously, as well as the local top in August. Trend-wise, though, this looks okay. It's above the EMAs, right? You can't say it looks bearish on the USD pair. It needs time to establish bullishness, to establish bullish continuation. I would just set an alert for 30 cents and ignore it. Monthly pivots aren't really going to help you much here. It's definitely about the volume, because you just know there are a ton of people who are trapped, who bought above 40 cents and are just waiting to get out of break even. A lot of those people are also assuming this is going to hit $1 in their lifetime, so they're just going to hodl until then. But I'd imagine there are more people desperate to get out of this trade than hodling for $1. It's kind of miraculous. This has held a bull trend this entire time. On the cloud, it doesn't look half bad. It needs a bunch of time into November when it has a chance to get above a quarter above the cloud here. So it's definitely niftiest than that wait and see situation, but I would watch that level. In the near term, I'd watch anything above 30 cents into November. That breakpoint or key level, critical level, gets lower on the cloud to around 25 cents. That's kind of where the bullish neutrality ends, because on Doge BTC, you have a death cross, you're below all the volume. It historically has held between 30 sats and 100 sats, and it's at 388 sats still. Previously, I left this drawing on here just to remind me that it had the potential for an inverted head and shoulders, right? It had the potential for a triple bottom. Definitely didn't play out that way, and this is why you wait to play the breakout. You never buy the shoulder until it completes the pattern. So this never triggered on the breakout trade potential. But that was an idea that could happen, or could have happened. It did not happen. Maybe in a different metaverse it happened. It also has a death cross here. I think I said that already. But there's no bullishness here. There's none, no bull div, no nothing. I think this goes significantly lower. This is what it looks like on the weekly. The 200 week EMA is all the way down here at around 200 sats. So maybe that holds. That's still a 50% drop basically from here. Current price RSI has not bottomed out yet. So on the BTC pair, it's definitely not a buy. Probably not going to be a buy for quite some time into probably late Q1. We'll know, right? If this is at 30 sats ever again in my lifetime, yeah, I'll buy it. If it's at 200 sats in Q1, I still don't think it's a buy. I still think it needs to go lower, but that's where the MAs are sitting for support, basically, along with that 100 sat level. And then on the ETH pair, also has a death cross. Nobody probably trades this directly, but thinks about it, right? Do you want to go into lower cap, higher risk reward type trades versus staying in higher cap, more fundamentally sound, let's say, coins like BTC and ETH? Technicals are bullish, really, at least on a div basis. Multi-month bull div growing here. So if you're bullish, you probably want to see this go lower on a more significant div. Trend is bearish based on the death cross. The triple bottom potential for sure is canceled out now. This is a multi-month low here. So it doesn't look great on trend. It doesn't quite look bad enough to buy, but I would be watching it certainly. If it gets down here to whatever this is on price, it may find some buyers, some activity. But until the on-chain stuff picks up, I don't see Doge ripping past ETH or BTC like it had in January, February, or April, May this year. Last, I'll just mention the ETH BTC fund and the DeFi portfolio I trade for Techumi Capital on Enzyme.finance, a non-custodial portfolio management tool where you can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see everything, including AUM performance allocation here, as well as the trades I make in the trades tab down below. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.